parents were on their way to get me ice cream when they got into a car accident. And only my elder brother Shane Jones and I survived with the protection of our parents. From then on, my elder brother hated me to the core. He took good care of my cousin, but he was cold and malicious towards me. He often asked me, how come it wasn't you who died in the car accident? As he wished, I had cancer and would die soon. Coming out of the hospital, the diagnosis paper in my hand sentenced me to death. It was unexpected but reasonable. I suddenly really wanted to tell my elder brother Shane that his wish was about to come true. Winnie called me at that moment. Cheryl, today is brother's birthday, aren't you coming back? Winnie Wilson was my cousin. She called me Cheryl, but called Shane brother. Shane always called me by my full name, but called her intimately Winnie. The degree of intimacy was clear at a glance. Every year on his birthday, I prepared gifts for him carefully, but he didn't seem to like them and casually threw them aside without even taking a look. However, I thought he would definitely like the gift this year. After all, he had been looking forward to it for so many years. Well, I'll go back in a while, I answered. When I arrived at the Jones family's villa, it was already evening and the lights inside were shining brightly. Pushing open the door, the original laughter and joy came to an abrupt halt. Shane's face instantly sank when he saw me. Who let you come? You are not welcome here. I knew I was not welcome without him saying it, but I still wanted to find an excuse to see him. I wanted to take a good look at him. Maybe it was a farewell. I forced a smile, pulling the corners of my mouth. Happy birthday. I handed him an envelope containing my diagnosis certificate. This is my last birthday gift for you. Shane's face instantly turned dark. Are you cursing me? He suddenly knocked the envelope out of my hand. The force was so strong that my arm went numb. I didn't know if it was because death was approaching, but even the slightest pain was magnified several times. Cheryl, if you don't want to come, you don't have to. Do you think I will beg you to come? It's not that I don't want to come. I can't come anymore. Before leaving, clean up the mess in your bedroom. Winnie happens to need a music room. I turned around and went upstairs, pushing open the door to my bedroom. The furnishings inside had been frozen in time since I was 10 years old. The princess dresses my mom bought for me were still in the wardrobe. I packed my childhood clothes into the box one by one. There were also many items related to Chibi Maruko-chan on the desk, which Chang collected for me before I turned 10. I packed a box full of warm memories before I turned 10. On the day of my death, they were there to accompany me. At least I won't be lonely and afraid. The suitcase was a bit heavy, my body was weak and I couldn't move it anymore. When I was going downstairs, I accidentally looked up and met Chang's gaze. I lost my footing, and the suitcase rolled down the stairs. The items related to Chibi Maruko-chan broke free from the constraints of the suitcase and shattered. Chang quietly looked at the mess on the ground, with turmoil in his eyes. Cheryl Jones, you're cruel, you're really cruel. Get lost, don't let me see you again. I didn't care about the pain from the fall. I crawled and stuffed everything, good and bad, into the suitcase. Like a deserter, I escaped through the gate. It was raining heavily outside, but it was embarrassing for me to go back since I came out in a hurry. The door behind me opened. I turned around with hope, thinking that Shane would shelter me from the wind and rain like he did when we were children, and protect me by his side. But he just coldly threw the envelope I gave him into the rain. The paper was soaked, the ink was mottled, and it was unrecognizable. I turned back and took a deep look at this place that had witnessed my joys and sorrows. Farewell. After getting out of the taxi, the rain outside was still drizzling. In the community, it was dark, with only warm lights shining from the residential buildings in the distance. After getting wet in the rain, I felt dizzy and cold, with my stomach churning. The house was empty, without any sense of home. It's okay, I still have them. I opened the suitcase and took out the things inside one by one. The items related to Chibi Maruko-chan had been damaged, and even the princess dresses were wet. I didn't cry when I knew the diagnosis, nor did I cry when I was kicked out by Chain, but now I couldn't control myself anymore. I curled up on the sofa, tears flowing like a bursting flood. I always greedily wanted to hold on to the warmth around me, but in the end, I struggled in vain. I still vividly remember the sympathetic look from the doctor. Cheryl, spend more time with your family, do what you want to do, and don't have any regrets. But I had long lost my family. In my life after the age of 10, only regrets remained. In a half-awake state, my stomach hurt uncomfortably. Before I could even run to the bathroom, I vomited a mouthful of blood. The bright red blood stung my nerves, as if it were the car accident from years ago. Back then, my brother and I were protected by our parents, surrounded by a sea of bright red blood. My parents had long been silent. I was scared and cried loudly. My elder brother tightly held my hand and said, Cheryl, brother is still here, don't be afraid. He sang to me and told me stories. After being rescued, I still held his hand tightly and followed him closely. His leg was injured, but he still gave his hospital bed to me to sleep on even when he was on the drip. He sat aside and accompanied me. How does my dear brother, who used to take care of me so much, disappear in the following years? The blood awakened my terrible memories. The strong facade I put on during the day collapsed in an instant. I trembled as I picked up my phone, hoping to find some comfort. The phone was answered, but it was Winnie's voice that came through. Cheryl, please, can you stop bothering brother? You caused him to lose his parents, but you can't help him with anything. Can you please stop causing him trouble? I stood still, stunned, as the phone was hung up at some point. It turns out that in his heart, I am just a troublemaker, a harmful person. I used to be the baby he held in his hands. He gave me my name, saying that he would treat me well for a lifetime. Feeling alternately hot and cold, my consciousness became a bit hazy, and I fell onto the sofa. In a daze, a familiar figure broke in and anxiously and gently picked me up. His embrace was so warm. A deep and pleasant voice sounded in my ear. "Cheryl, wake up, little dear, the sun is shining on your butt." I struggled to open my eyes, only to see the cold rental room. The conspicuous blood on the floor and the tightly closed door reminded me that everything just now was a dream. It was just a dream mad by a dying lonely person.